Now we are. Awesome. All right, guys. Super excited. Can you believe it's May? Golly, goodness gracious. I'm like, what in the world? It's gone by too fast, way too fast. Excited to share with you guys a couple of things I've been into regarding mindset. And actually, Adam is going to share also for a second in the beginning because he has listened to a podcast that I have not gotten to listen to yet. He's not on, that Troy Marsh sent us. Anyway, we'll keep rolling with it. Okay. One thing you are grateful for today and or this month. What are you guys grateful for? You can type it in the chat, except for if you're driving. Don't type it in the chat unless you're really uber talented or at a stop sign spotlight. Okay. Oh, Jill, great. I'm glad you're on. Daughter graduating college Saturday. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. That is so good. Milton said my business is turning around. That's great. Yeah, interesting real estate world that we are in right now. For sure. April was an amazing month. Steph, that's great. That's super good. Good. Grateful for a great time with friends yesterday. I saw, were you at Churchill, Ethan? Yeah. Looked amazing. Yep. Oh, that's right. Peyton's graduating. Heather, you still have not told, when is his date? I still do not have that in my calendar. I don't think. May 12th? Do I have that on my calendar? Oh, no, it's next week. Dang it. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm working in Adam's office today. Funny. Okay, guys, if you are grateful for more things, you can type them in the chat. I know this is such an ugly photo. However, it actually speaks to me because it's our brain, right? And I want to talk a little bit about mindset today. And so last month I shared with you guys this book that I've been reading. And if you haven't yet, I would suggest you go follow Dr. Daniel Amen. I think you said amen. I mean, like, amen. I don't know 100%, but he's on Instagram. There's his handle at the bottom. But Change Your Brain Every Day is a book. You just read one page a day. It's kind of like a daily reader. And I've been obsessing with all of his stuff lately and learning everything that there is to learn about the brain. Sarah Weber, you definitely should get this book. You would really like it. And so Troy knew that I had been into, no, I don't think Troy even knew that I had been into this book. And he sent this podcast and I put up a picture right here for you. I don't know. I might be able to actually copy the link and put it in here. I have it on my phone. But I don't know. I've never listened to this podcast before. If you guys have, put it in the chat or in the comments. Adam, I don't even know who this guy is. Did you know who he is?
No, I just put the link in there.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. Okay. So there's the link to the podcast. But he just interviewed Dr. Daniel Amen on the podcast. And so before we go into another book that I wanted to share with you guys, I wanted to continue the brain because there's nothing better for our mindset than working on our brain. Adam has listened to the podcast. And so Adam, I thought it would be great if you could share a little bit of your ahas just real quick, and then we'll go into the next part, which you're also reading the next book too, so you can chime in on that one too. But what have you been learning from this? Because this morning we were both getting ready in the bathroom and he was like, on the podcast, it said da-da-da-da-da, and this and this and this. And I was like, perfect. This is what you should share today.
Turn your computer down. I can hear the echo of my voice.
Okay. Oh, wait. I muted you. Sorry.
Okay, I unmuted myself. Okay. So this is a fascinating podcast, and it's definitely one you want to listen to when you're not driving, when you're in a bunker of sorts, because the amount of information that Dr. Amen gives is insane. Number one. Number two, this is mental health awareness month, so this is perfect timing for this book. And the book and the podcast, and the only thing I want to give you from the podcast is, if you want to jump to it after this, go to minute 56 and listen from there. because Dr. Amen gives an acronym for you to pay attention to when it comes to either destroying your brain or building your brain. And it's an acronym that says Bright Mind. I'm not going to go through every single one of the words related to the acronym, but there are a few here that I do want to go through with this from the podcast. So again, the acronym is Bright Mind, BRIGHT space MIND. And I'm going to give you what he shared in the podcast, because he went back and forth on things to do and then things not to do. And it was pretty fascinating. So the B stands for blood flow. So if you want to destroy your brain, decrease the blood flow to your brain. If you want to help your brain, increase the blood flow to your brain. So here's a few things that he says to help prevent and or treat what's going on upstairs. So let's talk about blood flow real quick. He says low blood flow to the brain is the #1 predictor of Alzheimer's. He said if you do not allow the right amount of blood flow to go to your brain, you will start down the path of potentially creating Alzheimer's. And he goes into a few examples of what slows down blood flow to the brain. You all might not want to hear this first one, though I'm going to share it. #1, caffeine. Caffeine is a blood restrictor of the veins to your brain. And I'm going
Josh
to give it a
is
little bit
cussing
more.
you currently.
I know. He says caffeine, nicotine, marijuana, being overweight, and there are a few others on there that he talks about that restricts blood to your brain. And I'm going to go into this caffeine because I don't drink coffee. I do like a good sweet tea every now and then, though at the same time, it is interesting what he says about caffeine. Now, caffeine is not the be all end all. It's not going to kill you. He said, though, it is a drug. It is addictive. He says it increases cortisol, which is the fat, right, that we have. Some of us have, some of us don't have around our belly. How about that? So he says blood flow constricted by 30% to the brain is created by basically 100 milligrams of caffeine will slow the blood flow to the brain. He says if you drink a venti coffee from Starbucks, I think that's the large, a venti coffee from Starbucks, that's 330 milligrams of caffeine. And this is what I love. He says caffeine is actually, it blocks the chemical, gosh, not a scientist, so I might butcher this word, adenosine, that tells you that you are sleepy, right? So it does not give you energy. It actually just blocks the receptors that your brain is telling you that you are sleepy is what caffeine does. Okay, let's keep going. So blood flow is #1. #2 is retirement and aging. We all sprint to that word of retirement. We want to retire. We want to retire. He says you can retire anytime you want to. He says, but you got to pay attention. If you want your brain to continue, you better keep learning. You better keep firing those neurons that fire together, wire together, right? If you are in a sedentary space, meaning I like to say this in our coaching calls, if it's the same soup reheated every single day and your brain is not being challenged, it will slowly start to age, right? And again, there is no real miracle drug for that, though. Again, read, listen to podcasts, have interesting conversations. Whatever it may be. What was one of those laws, bold laws? You grow into the conversations you're having. So challenge yourself on a daily basis or weekly basis to go have a conversation with someone that may be way out of your league, though again, stimulate your brain. Let's see. So that's B, that's R. Here's I is inflammation. This was fascinating. I came home and I ran the data. I said, this is why we have to floss. Inflammation, it talks about, he says, love your brain, love your mouth. Right? Meaning that, again, gingivitis is a #1 cause to heart and brain dysfunction. So floss so you don't get gingivitis. So you love your mouth, you love your brain is what he said. Genetics, this is fascinating. He said real quick, he said you already have a loaded gun. Okay, genetics, you already have a loaded gun. The question is, will you prevent yourself from pulling the trigger related to your brain? I thought that was really cool. So understand your genetics. H is head trauma. Head trauma basically means If you like to play football, okay, cool. You might have some brain trauma. If you're into boxing, if you're into martial arts, those types of things. If you have a wife named Dana that throws stuff at you, just be prepared for head trauma. Be prepared. That was a joke. She doesn't throw anything at me. T is for toxins. Understand the toxins that you are ingesting into your body, whether that is through food, whether that is through your products that you're putting onto your face or your skin, whether that is through, he was talking about Barbasol, right? He was talking about how he shaved with Barbasol for like 40 years and then got the app. The app is, what is the app called? The app is called Healthy Living EWG. EWG, and it allows you to scan stuff to see the level of, I guess, healthiness in something. But anyway, he was talking about shaving cream, so understand the toxins. The last four are mind, so it's mental health, immunity and infection issues, neurohormone deficiencies, and then D is diabesity. I don't know if that's diabetes, but diabesity, and sleep issues. All of that is related to, again, helping your brain in the way of growth development and either being preventative or destroying your brain. There's Bright Mind. There it is. Start on minute 56. That's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
Lots to learn there. I'm just really curious if anybody follows all of that stuff. Oh my gosh, Josh said he's a caffeinated former football player. He's late for bold. I love it. Oh my gosh, so funny. Yeah, it is interesting. We've been on a much healthier kick. Sarah is really good at getting me onto this stuff too, of like no toxins. And it's hard. And you guys have heard me talk about this before, but it's definitely really hard to go completely like toxin free from a lot of these things. So just a few things to remind you guys about this book, Change Your Brain Every Day. And if you have not already gotten it, I would suggest getting it. And honestly, I gave it to Adam's mom and to my mom. And I haven't given one to my dad yet, but I need to give one to my dad also. So it may just be something that you think about giving also some of the people in your life that are maybe around the retirement age or in the retirement area. Okay, so I want to move quickly. This is going to be like 15 minutes of action. So you're going to want to write some stuff down. Adam and I both have been obsessing over Amy Porterfield's 2 weeks notice book. Let me preface by saying the book is about how to quit your job. So I definitely, that's a great idea, Nikki. She got it for her mom. Yes, love it. I'm not, some of you even work with me. So I'm definitely not telling anybody to quit their job in 2 weeks, especially Heather. However, she does talk about a lot of things that have to do with your mindset in here. And I wanted to share some of those things with you. Her whole thing is like creating online courses. So if any of you are into that, then you might really actually want to dive in deep to her podcast and read her book and follow her on social media. However, this exercise is so great for your mindset. And Adam and I actually did this together. And it was so great for the both of us. So she talks about creating a list of non-negotiables in your life. And if you are in a place where you can't do this right now, I would say we'll send it to you if you need it, or just take a screenshot so that you can do these later, because it's a really great exercise. So a good non-negotiable is something that's specific. It's very personal, that should say and it's clearly tied to what is most important to you. And she says, remember the Parkinson's law when you're thinking about this, which is that it's the old adage that work expands to the time, to fill the time available for its completion. Meaning if you say, I'm only going to have 4 hours in one day to get this done, and you actually stick to that, you will likely get it done. It's when we say we have a week to get something done, and you guys probably have experienced this before, then you forget about it, or it goes to the wayside, or you never actually get to accomplish it. And so she talks a lot about creating, in order to have a great mindset, you have to create non-negotiables in your life. So I want you to, if you are at a place where you can write down, I want you to write down a list really quick. And if you're not and you're driving, just think about this in your head. A list of some of the current challenges that keep coming up for you. Another way said are, what are some of the daily habits that you are doing that no longer support your future goals? What's keeping you stuck? What's making you feel resentful? Are you actually doing something regularly that's getting in the way of your happiness and success? What are some distractions that are slowing you down? So I want you to think about and we're going to take like a minute and just write down and or mentally come up with a list of what some of those things are. And I'll share with you, just to get your jogger going, a couple of mine that I wrote down when I did the exercise. Saying yes to too many things. Social media is definitely a distraction that sometimes I get in a rabbit hole on, and it completely derails the things that I should be doing. Emails and texts, which I know we kind of can't avoid those. I feel resentful sometimes about working on Fridays because I had a goal that I really don't want to work on Fridays at this point in my life right now. And so when I do, I start to definitely feel resentful. This was a kind of a funny one, but holding people accountable that actually don't do anything, they don't do what they say that they're going to do. After a while, it gets annoying to me. Having only 2 short weekdays, having to travel sometimes when I necessarily might not want to, problem solving on stupid stuff that I shouldn't be problem solving on, and working with people that drain my energy. So think about just any, you might have some of those, or you might have none of those. You might have your own things, but I do want you to think of a list of some of the things that keep you feeling stuck. Maybe you've gotten some habits that no longer support your goals. And if you are brave enough and bold enough to share one in the chat, please do, because that might jog somebody else to think of something similar or the same thing. But anything, I mean, honestly, I remember if I were still selling, I would say showing buyers for like 4 years. I was like over working with buyers. And I just really wanted to focus on listings that I was still selling. So it may even be things like that you are thinking of. So after you jot down a few things, and again, if you can't do this right now, I would encourage you to 100% take 10 minutes and do this later. You're going to do step 2, which is you're going to go back and look at the list and circle the ones that come up the most. And you may even choose your top 3. So for me, a lot of them had to do with time, were a lot of my top 3, and not being able to do the time things that I want to do. So you're going to look at your list and pick the ones that kind of have a common theme. And then you're going to start to work on step 3, which is creating the non-negotiables in your life. And this is when she says, think about the values, think about your goals. What are you working towards? What's most important to you? Yes, Jill, that's a huge one that a lot of people struggle with. Definitely, including myself, which is why I always carry this around. Oh man, you can't see it. Oh man, why is my background blurred? Hold on a second. Shoot, hold on. Oh, I don't know how to do it. It's not because I have my PowerPoint up. Oh wait, here we go. Hold on. Video, blur my background. Okay, there we go. There we go. Got it. Why I carry this laminated sheet around, and I've been giving it to people. Those of you that may or may not know what this is, if you can see this, this is the 2012 Olympics with Michael Phelps. Yep, Jill, I need to get you one of these. I have these laminated sheets. I'll have to get you one when I'm in Columbus. We may have some actually at the office, but this is the 2012 Olympics where Michael Phelps was racing Chad Locos, and Michael Phelps was racing to be the winningest Olympian of all times, meaning he would have more gold medals than anybody else in the Olympics. And if you can tell, I know this is really hard to see, but if you can tell, where is Phelps looking? Straight ahead, and Chad is looking over his shoulder at Phelps, and Phelps won by a 17th of a second. And they said that actually had Chad been looking directly straight ahead and not looking over his shoulder, his stroke would have actually hit first and he probably would have won. And so that's just a great visual when it comes to that. So Jill, yes, lots and lots of every person has that in their life where they struggle, some more than others. So when you're creating your non-negotiables, you're thinking about what's most important to you. And so here's what she said. I want to give you some common boundaries that she gave in the book that might spark your inspiration. No working on the weekends, stop working at 5 p.m. every day, get at least 8 hours of sleep each night, move my body for 30 minutes each day, make time for a 20-minute nap each afternoon. I definitely cannot do that. I'm one of the people that if I nap, I wake up and full-fledged feel like I have the flu. So that might be for some of you. It's not for me. Only say yes when you mean it. That's a really good one. Always make time for school pickup with the kids. No screens at the dinner table. And so she kind of goes on to give a little list of non-negotiables. So I want you all to think about for your mindset, and it could be for your business, and they're going to all kind of roll together. But specifically when it comes to your mindset, what would be some non-negotiables that you need to create and or put into place into your life? And so I'll share with you a couple of mine. I don't know, Adam, if you have yours with you, but a couple of mine. Well, Adam and I have a no more than 10 days apart non-negotiable. It used to be 14. We've since shortened it to 10. Just because of work and we travel and, I go back to the region and all those things. Oh yeah, right. Pushing for 20. So we have a non-negotiable of no more than 10 days, even if that means getting on a plane. I have a non-negotiable of attending 50% of Addison and Amelia's tennis tournaments because last year I did not put that in my calendar and I didn't get to. I have a non-negotiable of because of travel, I will definitely attend church at least 2 times a month in person, not watch it on TV. I've really been working hard to no earlier than 8:30 or 9 start my weekday work calls or Zooms because I need the early morning time. If I'm starting really early, it kind of derails my entire day, to be honest. Walking outside every day. I set my phone to an hour on Instagram and Facebook. If I'm done, then I might say, remind me later. But usually if at that, it's enough. I don't need to be on anymore after that. Have a valid reason to say yes to new things. So you can just see, those are just a few examples. No Mondays before 10 a.m. I get in a really bad mood if I start my Mondays with calls and stuff before 10 a.m. because I'm still coming off of the weekend and trying to get things done around the house and meal prep for the week and all those things. So those might be, you might say none of those have anything to do with my life, and that's okay. But the purpose of this exercise is you should come up with a list of some of yours. Everybody should have a list of non-negotiables that you are putting into your life that have to do with not only your business, but your personal life too, so that you can say, okay, for my mindset and to help me move closer to my goals and what I'm working towards, these are some of the non-negotiables. Adam, did you have any of yours or no?
Yep, I do. So mine were simple. And again, it was all based on time. So number of coaching clients that I currently have and reducing that to continue to focus more on the growth of the business. Overall, I love coaching business. So no more taking coaching clients unless they're at a certain price. Focusing on the vertical income to support the expenses was the challenge versus growing the business so that it was more pseudo passive and the business was paying. And then feeling sad about not being with you, going to Kentucky and being more purposeful and intentional with blocking the time to go back with you. So mine were pretty simple. Are you going to talk about Tiger Time, by the way? Okay, got it. Okay, perfect.
Yep, it's next. So here's what you do. After you create your list of boundaries, look at this great picture I found. You create Tiger Time. And here's what Tiger Time is. Let me actually just read to you exactly what her definition in the book as we wrap up. Tiger Time is the part of your day that you fiercely protect, like a tiger protects her cub, hence the picture, to give you time to a dedicated time to space to focus on the areas that matter most for your business right now and your mindset. So your action item is you actually go into your calendar and block out the time. When I did this, I text Heather, I'm like, if you see a tiger emoji in my calendar every day from 11 to 12, just know that I'm supposed to be protecting that time. So you label it Tiger Time to remind yourself that you're fiercely protecting that time and the commitment to keep it. And that's the time that you focus on the things that are the most important to you, and or that get you that allow you to be able to say yes to your non-negotiables. So if my non-negotiable is I really don't want to be working on the weekends anymore, and I would love to not work on Friday, I know that during 11 to 12 every day, which is my tiger time, I need to be working on something that's pushing me closer to be able to not to the non-negotiables. Does that make sense? Or clear as mud? So it's the time that you're going to protect. Perfect. It's the time that you're going to protect every day in your calendar. And so here's what she says about this. You'll go into your calendar and block it out, label it tiger time, remind yourself that that appointment is precious and you want to be fierce with keeping your commitment. And then she gave these two quotes that I want to end with, and I really, really loved these. And if you guys actually go and do this, I promise you it will help and make a difference in your mindset. Like for me, yes, it'll probably get you, but it will get you closer to your goals and to what you're looking to accomplish. But for me, it's just been such a mental thing. It's been such like a relief mentally. And it's helped so much with my mindset to be able to think about these things. So the first one is, dreams are lovely, but they are just dreams, fleeting, pretty, and airy. But dreams do not come true just because you dream them. It's hard work that makes things happen. It's hard work that creates change. And that is by an author, Shonda Rhimes. And then the next one, I love Steve Jobs. Of course, I know so many of us do. Focus on simplicity. Once you get there, you can move mountains. And so I love that Adam's work, he said they were kind of simple, because when you can break it down and make them as simple as possible, and you can quickly remember them and you can quickly stick to them because they're so simple, then you get to that and you stick to that. And that's when you can get a lot of things accomplished. So any questions on that before we wrap up or end? Any questions?
I'll just jump in here real quick around the tiger time. Yeah. So if you really think about kind of what we talked about with the bright mind, and going back to the acronym of bright mind and looking at the retirement aging one where it says challenge your brain, when you jump into a tiger time motion, a lot of times as we are in our business, it is very, very same soup reheated, this, then that, this, then that. When you give yourself tiger time and you allow that brain to jump into the right side, which is the creative side, your brain expands, right? It's really fascinating. I've just noticed that in the last 3 weeks that we've put that into our calendar, just the explosiveness of creativity from that tiger time.
Actually, and that's a really good point, because a lot of times, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, but if you you may not think of yourself as a creative person, but if you don't have time to let your brain have some sort of creativity or some sort of outlet, like Adam can always say, he'll say to me, like, I feel like you've been in such a good mood for the last 2 days. And I'm like, really? I feel like I'm always in a good mood. And he'll be like, no, you've been in a much better mood. And I'll be like, why? And he'll be like, because you've been working on the stuff that you love working on. And that's really true, because when I get to be creative and work on the things that I really love to focus on, then it's like it boosts your serotonin. He talks about that in the Change Your Brain Every Day book. Is that the right one, Adam?
Yes.
Yeah. And it does all sorts of things. So it allows you to have that space, which is really nice, that sometimes we get stuck in the day-to-day and the grind and the minutia of things that we actually don't even make time for that stuff, or for that creative. Yeah. All right, guys. Awesome. Right at time. Thanks for being on. Have a great rest of your week. See you later.
See you. Bye.